Recently, this is the SuperZomGBBQ, and we got PCC is coming, and it's not a Diva PCC. Oh. What was it I was saying the other day? Oh. Well, anyway, it's not a Divas PCC. It is actually a PCC that, well, no one really expected and started already over the fight over a trombone. Yeah, I'm talking about Xavier Woods versus Chris Jericho. Now, this one is, to be honest, a little bit more obvious than it probably looks. Xavier Woods is a right arrow, which would make a tag, but if the tag was important to everyone who played WWE SuperCard for the event cards, then Alberto Del Rio would have won the last PCC, which is against Swagger and Del Rio. But it obviously isn't, but both of these cards are heavy in speed. Let's show you the stats right now of these cards. Now, if you have a look at these, first we can see the stats. 779 to 795, so Xavier is better in power. It's actually quite a decent power card against Jericho, whereas Jericho is much better in toughness and in charisma, whereas Xavier Woods is slightly better in speed. A lot of people, I just feel, are going to go for Jericho because it's an old school picture of him. A lot of people have, I mean, for me, the PCC Jericho picture is brilliant. I personally have a pretty awesome picture of Jericho, which I'm going to show you guys in a second. The other thing you got is that if it was Big E on the right hand side, I think that maybe Xavier Woods had a chance. But for some reason, Big E Langston can't get a card above like rare or something stupid like that. So Kofi Kingston is the Survivor card. Dolph Ziggler is far more popular, and he's going to be the guy that gets the nod here, I think. Jericho, retro, Ziggler, popular. In terms of overall ability, this is going to be the better card. I'm actually really surprised that I didn't switch these around, because whilst I can totally appreciate the speed and charisma, me personally, I would have thought that a kendo stick would be better for Xavier, but hey ho, speed and charisma is on Pump It Up, and I think this will win again because it is, in my opinion, the better support. It's one of the best supports that's available, especially if you've got the Rock card as well. Now, go down. As far as I'm aware, I was under the impression that Booker T was better than Dean Ambrose, but basically Booker T makes a pro for quite a few people I know of as well, and Dean Ambrose is probably going to win it in popularity, but I think a lot of people go for Booker because they want the other awards. You got the Epics as well. The Epics are Bray and Rusev, which obviously Bray is a far better card than Rusev. Rusev is one of the weaker cards in Epic and isn't very great. In fact, if you look at the overall stats, I think Rusev is literally the same in two stats, but it's where he gets to the charisma. In fact, literally, Bray is the same stats apart from when you get to charisma, and literally Rusev jumps off a cliff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not really going to be much any other people are going to do about it. Luke Harper versus Mark Henry, you know, it's not really going to make a difference, and the rares aren't going to make a difference either. So, me personally, Jericho's won this battle already, but let me know who you think is going to win this PCC in the comment section below. There is a specific reason why I want Jericho to win this PCC, though, and that is because if I go to my card catalogue, I've got a pretty slick superwear. I'll show you it now. Let's go to Chris Jericho, next page. Here it is, Chris Jericho. I transferred this over. Now, I literally transferred this over because I needed the left arrow. And when I transferred over another card, I think it was Triple H, I transferred over, he was on up arrow. And I was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. So I literally panicked and transferred over Chris Jericho. And I actually have him here. And I really like that picture. This is actually from WWE 2K15, I believe, this picture. And it showcases the old school Jericho from WrestleMania in 2003, I think, 2004, 2003. But yeah, whatever. Basically, that Chris Jericho is pretty sweet. I want to get Chris Jericho to win because I think his card's better. The fact that he's so good in speed and charisma is great, and I think if you level him up in a lot in charisma and a lot in toughness, he literally will probably murder any rock card that comes available to him. Just as much as Rock murders Taker in overall stats, if you make him power and charisma card, I personally think that Chris Jericho could be the anti-Rock card. Then again, he could be surprised and see if Xavier Wood wins and we finally get that tag card. I don't think Xavier Woods would be a great tag card for anyone but the Undertaker, though, me personally. But, hey, as I said, leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know who you think is going to win PCC and what cards you are going for. Are you going for the Chris Jericho? You're going for something lower than Chris Jericho? You're going to go for Xavier? Do you want to get Kofi? Where am I going? I am going top 5, baby. Yes, I'm going for the top 5. I don't know what I'm going to go for rank-wise yet. All I know is that as part of this charity stream, which I'm going to talk about more in a second, I want to get into the top 5 of this PCC. Maybe go for top 1. Who knows? I'm going to see how the ground lies on that when I start the stream on Thursday. But I'm just going to see how things go. Obviously, we had the end of Team RTG as well yesterday, so you saw that video. If you didn't, it's going to pop up in the top right-hand side of the video now, which is... well, I keep getting this wrong. It's over there. It's over there. So yeah, I'm in the King of the Ring. I literally just started as the video went live. Again, a guy called Chief. I think he is real. Yes, he is real. And oh wow, I'm surprised that happened. But he does have a Pro Diva, which obviously makes a difference. I think he's got a Pro Diva in the singles as well. Oh crap, JB. Oh nice. Okay. And Tater is next, so I'm going to have to go up against this. My Bailey is pro'd, by the way, guys. I haven't leveled up yet. I down-leveled it on purpose so I could get into an easier King of the Ring. Tee-hee-hee. It seemed to work all the other times, so I did it with this Bailey, and it seems to have worked, and this is the final version. I love the legendary picture, purely because I think this picture is the best one of her in the game. I'm not really a fan of the Survivor one. He just looks like someone saying... friend. Anyway, that's an internal Team UK joke anyway. So I'm going to level up that card afterwards. And actually now I want to talk about PCC tips. Now PCC is an event that does take a lot of people, and people don't really know how to use the event to its full advantage. Now, what I am talking about here is how best to level your deck, and also some tips that I use to level myself up. The first thing is, do what I've done here, enter a King of the Ring as soon as PCC starts. So just beforehand, you want to have a King of the Ring active throughout the entire time. And the reason why, even if it's against bots, is energy cards. If you have energy cards, yes, it's a little bit different now, because you can get energy cards straight away from using the games and whatnot, is to use the energy cards, because energy cards then will then be pullable from the board, which means that you have more opportunity to not fill up your card catalogue. A couple of tips I'm going to give you, but the first one after this is to make whatever card you are training your avatar. Now obviously my current avatar is the Undertaker. Let's go to that now, which is here. But if I want to train up Bailey, for example, I go to Survivor and I would go to Bailey and let's find her here. She's there, and I'm going to make her my champ. And what that does is immediately as I come back into it, bang, there's Bailey. And it means you can train that card straight away. So if I wanted to make a epic card, let's see, I've got this Bradshaw which I've left in, I've got Randy Orton, I've got Bam Bam as well. I can make Bradshaw my champion, and then immediately as I go into the game, if I just go to filter to none, I can literally go back into this now, and it goes bang, there's Bradshaw, and I can train him up again. And this really helps, especially if you're going to stick yourself in the normal cards here. And most of the people who do play PCC don't change their deck across the time that they play the game. So my advice there is just get your best card that you want to train up. The next thing is pretty obvious, and that is just get rid of cards. Look at those cards I've got there. Legendaries, epics, even survivors, old school cards that you've got, as long as you've got the image, don't worry, just get rid of them. I'm going to get rid of all of those cards. I am going to be getting rid of one of my WrestleMania cards on stream as well, which obviously is a little bit sad. But I'm also going to be getting rid of some of the legendaries I've got as well, because they are slightly taking up a lot of space. But if you're running out of card space, don't delete. Just find a common and uncommon, train as many cards into it as you possibly can, and then literally just train it away, like loads of full cards into one card that you put off the board. It makes it so much easier. It saves a lot of card space and saves you a lot of trouble as well. So with that in mind, let's look at the kind of deck that you should have for PCC. And the thing is that putting your best deck in to a PCC event is not going to get you anywhere. And this is the reason why. Look at this deck here. Now, I'm just going to remove Bailey from this, okay, because she's not going to help me at all. Now, this is a pretty specialist deck. I've made this specifically for PCC. And the reason why it's good for PCC is because whatever tier you're in, you really want to have your bar literally right on the skirt of the previous tier that you were supposed to be in. So if you're in Legendary, you want to have a deck that literally just sits on the edge of Legendary or is just above Legendary Plus. That way you're going to avoid the event cards, you're going to avoid maybe Legendary Pros or good Legendary Pros. That's just an example. You'll probably get very weak, much weaker Divas. You're probably going to get a lot weaker cards. For Survivor, if you're in Survivor, this is the perfect way, and I mean you cannot get better than this, other than having a Survivor Diva Pro that is specifically leveled to beat that Nikki Bella card, which is over here. But this is literally the best team you can physically get. So you've got 3 cards here, which are specifically leveled up for PCC, and 2 just normal cards and 1 Diva that's there. So this Nikki Bella, so this is Brie Bella, I apologise, which is specifically designed for this, is basically a card that I'm sticking in the deck specifically to make it just a tiny bit over Survivor. And the reason I've done this is to, again, make her as basically she cannot be beaten unless another card procs. But you can put epic pros in there as well. If you're in Survivor tier and you're using this kind of this deck, you can actually do the same thing with an epic pro that's fully leveled as well. It's exactly the same effect. The reason I don't Nikki Bella is after she's fully leveled, her stats are going to be roughly about the 150, 160 mark, which means she'll beat any normal epic card in pretty much every stat. And as a tag card, she'll be pretty incredible. But the most important bit is that you have this Nikki Bella, or you have yourself a Survivor Pro Diva that's leveled up just to beat this Nikki Bella. And then the next cards that come along here, right? So these are the most important cards. So you've got your Mal cards. And what I've done with this Bubba Ray Dudley, and you've also got that Rusev, is I've specifically leveled them. If you have a look here, they're 18 out of 25. They're not quite 19. But if you look on here, I've literally just done everything to be as equal as possible. Now, there are some cards that are specifically great for this. One of them being Roman Reigns, the second one being, and this is only in Survivor tier, just to clarify, in Legendary tier, John Cena's great, The Miz is great, Dolph Ziggler's fantastic for it, The Rock is good for it as well. Brock Lesnar is really good for it as well if you're looking to do this kind of same effect. So those are a couple of really good cards. But let's just go back to Survivor tier and look at this deck. Now, Bubba Ray and Rusev are specifically leveled to beat the opponents he's going to have against him. And when you're looking at these stats, you're thinking, well, what cards are these cards going to be able to beat? And the reason I've leveled these cards specifically as they are is because they are going to go up against legendary event cards. 9 out of 10 games, even potentially 19 out of 20 games, I will win. Because the cards are so strong compared to the other cards that are available, unless the card literally has been 9 statted in its stat and then it procs, and gets, which is the ability boost, and gets a support card from Survivor tier on it as well. It's not going to be any of these cards. It's just not going to happen. So, what I've also done next to it is I've put a couple of legendaries. Now, you're probably wondering, well, why aren't you putting in fully leveled survivors in? Because as soon as you put in a fully leveled survivor, the game has a trigger, and I don't know what it is, and no one really has found it out yet. But as soon as you put in a fully leveled survivor card, the game seems to go into overdrive mode and basically put you against anything that has an event card. Seriously, try it. If you've got this deck, put in the Survivor Pro Diva and see the game literally just puts you against the hardest opponents you can with loads of event cards and everything. It's really crazy. Literally, the game is specifically designed to stop people doing what they used to do in Season 1, which is basically dumb down your deck and have like 2 or 3 awesome cards and then nothing for the rest of the cards, which people used to do and used to rack up like 50,000, 60,000 points almost in PCCs in the early days. The difference with this is that you're not actually, and you can do this with legendary tier as well, just make sure your stats are just over 1150, 1200, so they're beating epic pros. You can probably do this in epic tier as well, again making sure that the cards are just better than ultra rare pros. But realistically speaking, in those tiers, you're not going to have event cards to go up against, so it's really hit and miss, and it's just about leveling your cards. Don't put commons, rares, super rares, ultra rares in. You want to have this kind of setup. A under-leveled legendary card, for example, maybe if you was to have a legendary, have an under-leveled epic card. That's just an example of what you could have, and make sure everything's taggable, so up down. So if someone's running a similar tactic, if you get 1 up and they get 1 up, you may just win because they're running with a common in their deck, or they've got like a 1 event card. Now, it's not foolproof. Nothing is foolproof in PCC. You will lose a couple of games here and there, but this is one of the best ways of getting the best decks in the game. Now, I'm fully aware that not everyone's going to have just random Survivor Pros laying around, but the next ones you get for the next PCC, I'd suggest saving them, or at least leveling them to be around about level 18, level 19, so they are good enough to pretty much beat any legendary event card. Just a suggestion. So that's pretty much it from me. So first of all, you got the remember to save as many energies as possible and use them. As you get past the next King of the Ring match, just use all your energies, which means you can put them off the board, which means you're less likely to pull cards like commons, uncommons, rares, etc. The other thing to take into consideration is about your pull. Now, everyone keeps asking me, what do I mean by my pull? When is my pull ready? Every tier has a certain amount of resets. So, for example, I think the Survivor Plus Plus is like 250 or something. I never really understood it in that sense in terms of an exact amount of games. But if you check out the WWE SuperCard forums, there are actually some detailed stuff there. I think the Reddit page has something as well. It actually tells you about the average number based on other people's experiences to pull a certain card in the tier that you're in, or the class of tier that you're in. The simple point is that you can still work this way. Now, my suggestion is just don't drop down a tier, whatever you do. If you're in Survivor tier, don't drop down to Legendary. If you're in Legendary tier, don't drop down to Epic. Just stay in the tier that you're in, and you'll get the best results. And if you are dropping down from Legendary Plus Plus to, let's say, Legendary Normal, or you're dropping down from Survivor Plus Plus to Survivor Normal, you can just easily, once you've played, let's say, a whole ton of games, just bump yourself back up to the tier that you're in, and you might get your pull. I've got my pull really, it is waiting. I'm literally about 100 games away. I'm also around about 1,000 games away from my 20k pull. Which will get me another single. I bet it's something terrible. I can guarantee you that. Not that I need anything. Stone Cold Steve Austin would be pretty cool, though. That's it from me, though. Thank you guys so much. And obviously, remember, the last thing is get deck ready. This may not be a helpful video for now, but if you can get it done before PCC, I seriously would recommend it. I'll be streaming tomorrow from 8 AM, which is the beginning at GMT, just as a tester stream for the charity stream, which comes in how many days? It's 2 days. 2 days to the charity stream, which I currently call charity is Jericho, which is going to be really awesome. I'm really looking forward to it, and we're going to go for some top 5 action. I promise you guys that now. Look forward to the videos coming for over the next couple of days. If you're coming to the stream tomorrow, there'll be a small video up to remind you. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Leave!